If you walk along the coastlines of Scandinavia or visit preserved Viking sites, the first thing that hits you is how much timber still stands. Ships, halls and beams built 1,000 years ago endure conditions that would destroy modern wood within decades. These Vikings weren't just lucky. They had a method, a rot-proof code that made wood almost indestructible. Modern construction treats rot as a battle of chemicals and coatings, but Vikings approached it like a strategy, using the wood itself as the weapon. Once you understand this system, you can apply the same principles in your backyard. Whether it's building raised beds, fences, sheds, or even outdoor furniture that lasts generations. The Vikings treated rot as a biological problem, not a material flaw. Modern builders, often assume rot is just unavoidable unless you trap moisture with sealants. But Vikings, they knew better. Rot fungi need 3 things: moisture, oxygen and nutrients. Now, you can't really control oxygen, and water will always find its way to timber. So, what the Vikings did was focus on removing nutrients, the food that fungi eat, and controlling how water moved through the wood. They cleverly combined timber choice, preparation, and design into a system that starved rot before it could ever start. For backyard projects, this basically means selecting the right wood, preparing it properly, and designing structures that shed water rather than trapping it. Vikings carefully chose slow-grown, dense trees which naturally resisted moisture and decay. They avoided sapwood, which is rich in sugars that fungi thrive on. Timing was everything. Trees were felled in winter when sap levels were at their lowest, making the timber even less hospitable to rot. For your backyard, select heartwood-dense boards or logs, and if possible, source wood felled during dormancy. Even small changes in timber selection drastically improve durability. One of the most counterintuitive Viking practices was soaking timber in rivers or tidal pools before use. This leached sugars and starches from the wood while slowing microbial activity. Submerged wood became naturally resistant to fungi and insects. You can actually replicate this at home by soaking fence posts, garden beds or beams before slow drying. Even a few weeks in water can give wood a major boost in rot resistance. After soaking, Vikings dried timber slowly under cover with plenty of airflow. This process allowed cell walls to compress evenly, making the wood denser and tougher while reducing cracks. Modern kiln drying is faster, but quite often leaves timber stressed and prone to rot. Air-dried wood, stacked and protected from rain, actually retains its strength for decades, and, handles outdoor wet-dry cycles far better than quickly dried lumber. Vikings sometimes exposed wood to gentle heat or just a bit of surface charring. This process killed surface organisms, hardened the fibres, and reduced water absorption. It wasn't burning. The goal was really a chemical change that, enhanced durability. For backyard use, lightly torching exterior surfaces before treating with oil or tar can, honestly, dramatically improve water resistance and longevity. The Vikings' most famous treatment was pine tar. Applied warm to warm wood, it penetrated fibres deeply, repelled water and discouraged insects while remaining flexible in extreme temperatures. Unlike modern paint or sealants that sit on the surface, tar became part of the wood itself. To apply this in your backyard, heat the tar, gently warm the wood if possible, apply generously and allow it to absorb fully. Repeating periodically ensures your structures stay protected for years. Vikings designed roofs, ships and hall walls to shed water efficiently. Steep slopes, overlapping planks and raised posts prevented pooling. Airflow was constant, allowing timber to dry quickly. Water that moves freely does not rot wood. You can mimic this in your own backyard projects by raising posts on stones, sloping surfaces for drainage, and, avoiding flat horizontal boards where water can collect. Vikings didn't assume permanence. They maintained their timber. Ships were retarred, roofs were inspected, and minor damage was repaired before it became a serious problem. This simple habit really prevented decay from gaining a foothold. For modern DIY projects, a regular check, early repair, and occasional reapplication of oil or tar, keeps wood performing like it did 1,000 years ago. The Viking rot-proof code demonstrates that wood longevity is a system, not a product. Proper selection, preparation, design and maintenance all work together to create timber that can survive for centuries. Backyard enthusiasts, survivalists, and, honestly, anyone working with wood can apply these principles to build structures that truly last without relying on synthetic chemicals or constant replacement. If you found this guide on Viking timber survival insightful, do subscribe to Backyard Wisdom, share it with fellow history and DIY enthusiasts, and help preserve ancient knowledge that can still improve the way we build today.